Okay, back to the EMIC. Anyways.
And a lot of people don't. Okay, but the main thing I'm saying here is people have a choice. And if Apple ruled everything, people wouldn't have a choice. Okay? And I'm not for that. I'm all for people having a choice. I'm just wanting for people, when they make that choice, to choose Apple. If Apple's going to get a dominant position in the market, I want them to do it by their own merits, because people buy the computers and they make good computers, not because they force it down everybody's throat.
You know what? If I had to choose my benevolent
and let's just talk about this for a minute. Let's just assume that I do want Apple to take over instead of Google, which I don't. But what you don't understand about the difference between Apple and Google is Google owns everything, every little bit of information about you. They just about know. I mean, they stockpile information on people. Now, I'm not saying Apple don't do this, but Apple is not making records of everywhere I've surfed. They do not have control of my email, okay? They don't have control. It's completely a different thing. Google is controlling our internet experience. Our internet experience wouldn't be changed in the least if Apple decided to close shop. I really don't think our internet experience would be changed in the least. Maybe our music experience, our video experience, you know what I'm saying? Stuff like that would be changed, getting online and buying music. But as far as surfing the web and stuff, our experience wouldn't be that changed. Now, if Google closed shop, I would be wondering, okay, now they've closed their doors, what have they done with all this goddamn information that they've got on everybody? Do we just trust them?
Okay. Let me explain why I chose, given the choice, if I had to choose between Apple being in charge of that and Google being in charge of that, I choose Google. He makes a valid argument. Google potentially knows more about you than your priest, your psychiatrist, your doctor, and your mother all rolled into one. However, Google also understands it's in their best interest to only use that information in the interest of serving you in a way that makes them money, not to leak it. Yes, you should be concerned about a security breach at Google. However, let's think about how security breaches come about. The first and obvious way for information you give somebody else to be leaked is just a flat-out security breach. They don't have it properly, it's online and accessible, not properly encrypted, not properly secured, you know, there's a way to get to it. The information that we're all worried about getting out is not directly accessible. I mean, somebody can hack into your Gmail account, possibly. So, but they don't get everything by getting that. They get your emails, they get your content, but they don't get everything. It's the same thing. Somebody hacks into my YouTube, so they don't get all the info Google has on me. Which then brings me to way number 2. Employee theft. Yes, it is a possibility that an unhappy employee at Google could go in and take your information and go run with it. This is why, given the choice, I choose Google over Apple. Apple has driven some of their best people away from the company because of, at times, the way the work environment gets there. You know, there's this whole shroud of secrecy inside, and you hear about things like somebody has to turn a light on their desk and nobody's allowed to talk to them or look at their computer, and, you know, they're all isolated and they're all sad. It's, you know, in a lot of ways, Apple is becoming the 1984 commercial that, they said they're not Big Brother and they're very much trying to turn into that. Google, on the other hand, because they're not so much obsessed with the bottom dollar, but obsessed with, Google understands that happy workers and servants mean productive workers and servants and people who won't come stab you in the back. I would worry about Google when they don't have a whole floor dedicated to building things like the world's biggest Plinko machine and the little marble mazes, and they don't have a whole team of chefs and masseuses and all these other things. The Google work environment is the Taj Mahal lifestyles of the rich and famous work environment. As long as that is what it is, you don't have to worry about those people stealing your information. They're not going to bite the hand that feeds them. They couldn't possibly get equal to what they have for taking that information and abusing it. And yes, Google, like when you sign in to an account from here and there, you'll see some weird things come up on Google. But that's because you signed in. And Google knows you and followed you. So yes, the potential is there. Of the two, Google is least likely to abuse it. Apple, on the other hand, they're not so much. They're more likely to have an unhappy employee who's like, this isn't working anymore. No. Here, what can I get for this shit? That's more likely to happen at Apple. No, I'm sorry. It just is.
That they're going to do the right thing and get rid of it? I mean, come on, man. Google is not the same thing as Apple when it comes to internet experience. Apple doesn't have near the influence over your internet experience that Google does.
Yeah, and I'm coming up on time here, but that part always seems like a bit of sour grapes to me. It's like, granted, I don't think Apple really has any real interest in getting into that business, because at this point, you'd have to be truly revolutionary to even compete with Google. You'd have to patent and create something new that Google can't do if you really wanted to compete in that arena. Anyways, I'm going to cut this part off here, and we'll finish the last bit of this video up in one more part. And peace out, all.